Pulse family, what's going on? You already know who it is. It is your boy Thesis, and today we are going over something brand new from Native Instruments, of course, and Galaxy Instruments. If you guys are familiar with piano colors, they have a new one called vocal colors. Now this one concentrates specifically on being a dope vocal engine. Let's check it out to see if it's something that you guys would be interested in. I think it is, but you be the judge over it, right? So you guys keep it locked, stay tuned. All right, now, of course, if you guys want any of the specifics, what it entails, please drop down to the link in the description. Also, this is an affiliated link, so please definitely go and support your boy. Thank you so much, but it definitely helps out the channel, right? So I'm gonna give a brief introduction of what it entails. We're gonna check out a GUI and play around with it and see what we got. So Vocal Colors is a creative vocal engine that discovers new depths of the human voice. It's an electric palette of samples that intertwine the worlds of electronic and organic, and trust me when I tell you, there are some weird, funky, definitely creative sounds in here that definitely get your creative palette going, so they didn't lie on that part. It also generates emissive vocal soundscapes with expressive modulation controls. All right, now that we got that out the way, here is the GUI, right? Before I get into the GUI though, I want you guys just to hear a couple of those sounds. Let's check out some of the sounds. And as you can see, I actually started down at the bottom, so let me go back to the top. There is some really cool, dope, different vocal texture sounds. All right, so now since we have that out of the way, let's go and now check out the actual GUI. And I actually have some MIDI that's already up so that we can get a gist of the actual sounds, things like that. Aesthetically, it is appealing, and even in creation, I was playing around with it just to get, the feel of it, and I was just aesthetically just blown away with how peaceful it made me feel as I was playing. Here is the presets in the upper left-hand corner. Here's where you get your snapshots, your choices of those presets, and they have 4 categories in which you can narrow down and then pinpoint what type of feel, I'll say, that you want within those presets. So let's say, for instance, I'm gonna remember DM. So let's say you go for one shot, pure. Let's do a bright feel with basic. Now you see how it gives you those presets, the final preset within that one. So I do like that. And then of course right here, this is where you go to confirm it. Right next to that, this is where you click this, and then you can actually turn on velocity to add smoothing. You can pull it back. You can add LFOs. You can add synth waveforms, and you can add the strength here. Underneath that at the bottom, this is the arpeggiator. Now this is where you can have a whole lot of fun at, right? So let's say for instance, you don't know an actual preset. Same thing with how you pick your sound. You can go, you have 3 in this category of selections, and then you can pick out what type of sounds. Let's say for instance, I have the sound up now, and I'll take off one of the layers, and underneath that you have the layer 1 and layer 2. Now you can do both of these in arpeggiation on top of the layer to create one sound. Outside of the particles and the global feel, we'll get into that in a minute, but let's play around with the arpeggiator real quick and see what it is. All right, so this is how it sounds without the arpeggiator. With the arpeggiator. Now let's say that you want to add another layer on top of that. It's basically different layers in which you can do. Now, one of the 2 things that I want to share first before we get that, let's turn off the arpeggiator. One of the well, actually 3. First one is a formant shift that's within this. So I love how it still keeps the, I'll say, sense of the actual sound of that wave. So say for instance, if I press play on this and then I go to switch the actual formant, Also, another thing that they have within this, because this is vocals, they have what they call double track, single track, and single spread. Now, what that is basically think about mono and stereo sounds. You can do that within these sounds individually per layer. And also on the end, now I know I'm skipping to it, but on the end, this is another feature called motion. Motion basically gives the different feel of texture and sound on top of the vocal. I'll add an LFO. We'll do a continuous and make it downward and hit OK. Change the spread. And you can do that also on a different complex. So let's say that I want to change it to complex 5. And then within those layers, you'll hear the difference of it, which is really dope. And now we'll turn the arpeggiator back on. And this voice engine is so freaking strong on the computer. Please make sure that you have a fast computer. I do love this, but it does eat up your computer speed. So make sure that you got a decent computer, because if not, you guys can get frustrated. As you can see, they got a tone. They have the mod effects. So in mod effects, you guys can move these around, which is really cool. You could change the different type of effects, the different type of drives, layers to that. So you see they got an equalizer, a filter, dynamic, a drive, a modulation. You can add vintage sound. So let's add a phone to that. And then let's say, for instance, as I play it. See that? It's changing to add a drive, add some crunch. And again, you have both of these features on your first 2 layers, so that's really dope. Now, the particles is where, let's say, for instance, I don't even use the layers, right? And I want to just have the particle. Now, the particle is extremely fun because it gives you a different feel of that aesthetic within that preset. And let's say, for instance, you add it to those 2 layers. Now, the thicker you go, the more you're going to use in processor. So remember that. So this is just a particle of that same MIDI, and this is how it sounds. Now, the cool thing about the particles is that you can go and change different sources and add different effects on top of that. Now, that excludes all of the other presets, the changes you've done to your layers. You then can still go and add different particles to add a different aesthetic to it. So again, a very strong vocal engine. And I want to do something, let's say, somatic. So let's do this. I'm just picking, again, just something random. Don't forget, you can also come here and change different algorithms and the different motions. It still gives you that feel that you would in a layer, but you can, again, just add so much difference to it. The end of it is global. Now, basically at global, this is where you just clean up everything. Now, with all the stuff that you're doing with layers and particles, this is where you come to clean it up to make sure it's not doing too much. And of course, they give you an equalization and they give you a dynamic. With the settings, you can change your velocities between, you know, softest or, you know, the way you play the actual key. So I like that. Of course, you can change your pitch bend and your tuning. Now, without a shadow of a doubt, if I had to pick something that I know that I would use, and of course, again, I use glaze, I use exhale, and I use duets. Now, of course, each one of those are different vocal engines within themselves, but this one right here goes above and beyond and is totally different from any engine that I could possibly think of. With the type of control it has, can get you guys into creating some really nice, different organic sounds that will be yours. And that alone is the best selling point in which I could say would be for this. So if you guys like this video, please definitely go like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to make sure that you go and cop this from the link below in the description. All right, definitely support your boy. Shout out to Native Instruments and my boy Mick over there. That's my bro right there, man. But once again, you guys already know who it is. It is your boy Thesis. Peace.